serves as the director of the Inter-Parish Association of the Assembly of Canonical Orthodox Bishops of the United States. Previously, she worked as a program coordinator for the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America, focusing on social issues at the United Nations, including homelessness, mental health, human trafficking, and environmental care. She grew up in New Jersey in a Greek Orthodox family with her grandfather serving as a priest. She's been deeply involved in Orthodox Christian ministries, including Orthodox Christian Fellowship, OCF, Youth Equipped to Serve, YES, and Orthodoxy on Tap, NYC, a grassroots initiative for young Orthodox adults. She also participated in an OCMC mission to Nairobi, Kenya, which she described as life-changing. Beyond her church work, she enjoys exploring New York City, traveling abroad, and baking. She previously ran a cake decorating business and continues to experiment with gluten-free and dairy-free baking products. If you'd like to learn more about her, you can check out her profile at Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. Absolutely phenomenally young lady. We've had the privilege of working with her, or getting started working on her, with her and Father Nick Anton in the topic she's going to talk about. And as I said earlier, she was here in Indianapolis anyway, and she'll tell you about that for a very meaningful contribution that the IPA, Inter-American Parish Association, has gotten. So, Spiridula, without further ado, would you help me welcome Spiridula?
Friends, I invite everyone to stand up for a second. We've been sitting for a while, so everyone please stand, stretch a little bit. If anybody needs to get some coffee, please feel free to do that. I think that's really important. I'm also one who's like, we need to move, so please take a moment if you want to do that. Yeah, do whatever you can do for a second while I just get a little bit more set up here. So I always like to begin by getting to know who is in the audience. So we're gonna just do that a little bit first. So I would like to invite you just like to yell out from your tables where people are coming from. We're gonna start there. So what communities are you coming from today? So let's start over here. Can you say your name and your community or parish area you're coming from?
I'm Gregory Walsh. I'm from St. Constantine Elena, Romanian Orthodox Church.
Great.
John Bober, Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church, Akron, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
All right, in the back.
I'm Father Nick Rainius. I'm from Kankakee, Illinois, and so are my 5 colleagues.
5 colleagues, please go ahead. What are your names?
Stephen Ede. Vern.
Charlotte Deno. Sonia Leopold.
Nathaniel Leibwood.
Awesome. Let's go up to the front here.
Ed and Mary Rinsink were from here.
Awesome.
Constantine Elena.
Bill Subal, I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Alexei Krindich, Berkeley, California.
Awesome. Sorry, don't want to mess you back here.
That's fine. Jennifer Fletcher, the Selected Parish.
Amazing. Thank you.
I'm Bill Karras from Northern Virginia, originally from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Great. Father.
My father, Paul Coates, attached here at St. Constantine and
Awesome. So we're going to come back up here.
Good Chastity Janine, way from here.
Back to you.
I'm Abby. I go here. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas.
Cool.
I'm Julie McCullough. I'm here as well.
I'm Charles Coates. I'm from All Saints Antiochian in Bloomington.
Awesome.
Agathon Graber. I am a member here at St. Constantine.
Blake Powers from Joy of All Who Sorrow down the street.
Father Peter Cox from St. Mary of Egypt, Indianapolis.
Molly Brooks, Joy of All Who Sorrow.
Craig Freeman, St. Nicholas of Indianapolis.
Tyler Canberra, from Romanian Episcopal, Deacon of His Eminence.
What's going on?
And of North America.
You all have heard who I am.
Yeah, Father.
I'm Father David. I'm not really sure who I am or where I'm going. Praying that God will be.
From here.
From here.
Right.
George Matsukis, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Thank you. Here, let's come back over here.
I'm Kitty Ryerson. This is my home parish.
I'm Chuck Ryerson.
Presbyterian Mary Bernice. I belong to that group over there.
Alicia McCullough out from here.
Rodney McCullough, I'm with her.
Arnold Bertrandis, Annunciation to Greek Orthodox Cathedral, Houston, Texas.
David Oancio, Youngstown, Ohio.
Awesome, thank you. And in the kitchen, forgive me. What is your name and your parish?
I'm Susie McDonald, and I'm from St. Constantine.
Thank you so much for your help. Did we get everybody? We might be missing. Oh, some more people in the back here came in. Oh, she's doing this. Okay. You're
I'm Laura Montfort. This is my home parish.
awesome. Thank you so much. Yes.
John Blavey, Alliance, Ohio, Romanian Orthodox.
Amazing, thank you. The woman just stepped out. They're in the middle of something. Well, thank you. It's nice to meet you all. I'll introduce myself briefly, but before we get there as well, I want to ask you, what are some pan-Orthodox or activities in your areas that are happening among parishes? I just want you to yell it out. Are there Vespers happening, or is there some kind of thing? So can people yell out ideas of what is happening in your communities?
OCND for life.
Sunday of Orthodoxy is very pan-Orthodox for years and years.
Awesome.
Vespers. Sunday Vespers.
Vespers, awesome.
Orthodox movie screening.
Oh, amazing.
Clergy Association.
Clergy associations.
Epiphany on the east coast of Florida.
Amazing. Any others?
Symbols, Valentine's Day.
All right. Any other ones you want to throw in? So you keep coming up with unique ones.
Starting now.
Yeah.
Pilgrimages between monasteries.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they'll start at one and walk to the other.
Okay, awesome. Any others? Yeah, Argo.
St. Romanus Chorale, Houston, Texas.
Awesome.
Pan-Orthodox.
Pan-Orthodox choir. Okay, cool. Amazing, thank God. So I want you to kind of hold all these ideas in your mind, and I'm going to kind of set the tone for why I ask you to keep that in mind. And also just thank you to Korea and Father Stefan for their presentation. I think it was a really good scaffolding for what I'm going to share. And I hope it also kind of answers some of the bishop questions that were brought up as well, and also the grassroots kind of movement. So, that was the transition slide, forgive me. Here we are. The bio, I don't remember submitting that one, but there was a lot of information there, so I'm just going to hold this. I prefer to move around a little bit. So just as a form of background, I grew up in New Jersey, as was mentioned, grew up in a Greek Orthodox parish. My grandfather was a priest, but my mother was very intentional about us also attending the OCA parish down the street and the Carpatho-Russian parish 15 minutes away. So I grew up very much aware of the other Orthodox communities around me and also participating in the life of those parishes. We also would have pre-sanctified liturgies together and would rotate the parishes each year. Kind of in that vein of growing up in the church, I was also very formed by these ministries that were mentioned. So OCMC, going to Nairobi, OCF was a very formative part of my college career. Actually, the OCF chapter that I was in, we had it at a community college, and most of the members were not Orthodox. They were converts, or not even. We had Jehovah's Witnesses, Jews, atheists. It was a really interesting mix that really challenged me to say, why am I an Orthodox Christian, and what does that look like in this culture of the United States? Also, Focus North America was a huge part of my journey, specifically St. Herman House in Cleveland. Are people familiar with St. Herman House? Yes, I did the one and only OCF Real Break trip, where we spent a week. As our spring break, we lived at St. Herman House for a week and got to serve and really understand poverty in Cleveland. And that was the first time I had ever seen poverty to that level in the United States, and that really struck me. So I had been to the slums of Nairobi, but it was not. You always hear about the African continent being equated with poverty, but seeing it in your own country is a different thing. So these experiences, along with the Crossroads Summer Institute, I hope people are familiar, this very intensive 10-day theological institute, were very formative in my life in the church and in ministry, and as a young woman, being able to say what is kind of my role as an Orthodox Christian and how am I called to serve. So with that in mind, I moved to New York City for college. After community college, I attended the City College of New York, with the hope and desire that I would work for the United Nations, because I love languages, I love learning about different cultures and histories and things. And so through that, I found out through a friend that there was an office at the Greek Archdiocese that is a Pan-Orthodox ministry where there is a UN NGO status. So you do advocacy at the global level as an Orthodox kind of witness. And I was like, that's crazy. So my friend connected me to the coordinator of programs at the time, and I was able to intern in the office, and then eventually became the coordinator of programs, took the position that I was under. And so I learned a lot and was challenged, again, to witness and understand what does it mean to be an Orthodox Christian, to witness that in a pan-Orthodox way, but at the global stage. And specifically, we would focus on social issues with other either ecumenical organizations, a lot of Catholic orders that were really doing this grassroots work, and then understanding how do we show that and advocate for people globally. So my two areas specifically were this idea of greening the parish. So environmental sustainability, of course, taken from the example of His All Holiness, Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, and really trying to continue that. And our work, since I was involved in this idea of church and society, is how do we connect the global advocacy to the parish level? So what does that actually look like? So we created a whole toolkit and resources, we called Greening the Parish, that allowed the opportunity for parishes to understand what is our theology behind creation and how do we actually then implement it in our parish life. And there's really beautiful examples, maybe some of you know. There's a parish in California that has their own vineyards, grows their own grapes, and creates their own wine for their communion. They have fruit trees. They are very sustainable in their practices. So if you go on the website, Greening the Parish, it's on the Greek Archdiocese, you can see videos about all these parishes that are doing amazing things across the country. And then in the second side, I focused a lot on advocacy to end homelessness globally. And what that means is that we need to define it so that we can better understand what the issue is and then be able to actually make measures and take action to end homelessness worldwide. So that experience also, we created this homelessness guidebook for parishes. It's on the Assembly of Bishops website, so you can access it. And it is a toolkit to break down kind of the myths behind experiencing homelessness and how can churches do more. It goes from just knowing the local resources in your area to even if you have extra land, we have experts in the church who know how to use that land to build affordable housing or low-income housing. So it's really a challenge and a tool for parishes to think about what can we do more of. So in these two things, I also got involved with the Assembly of Bishops on the Secretariat and part of the Church and Society Committee, and that's kind of my initial start in the Assembly of Bishops. But with all of that, as I mentioned, I wanted to work for the UN and always wanted to live abroad, and there was an opportunity when doing advocacy on homelessness to actually, I learned from Finland because they are a country where they are expected to end all street homelessness by 2027. And that's adjusted a little bit because of COVID, but their policies are still very much in line to end homelessness in very real ways. So I was like, that's crazy. So I wanted to move to Finland, so I did. I moved to Finland for 2.5 years, and I did a master's program in social policy, understanding and comparing how the United States addresses homelessness through policy and how Finland is doing it, and what are kind of the differences, and how can we learn from their example. Do people know there's an Orthodox church in Finland? How many people knew there was some? Yes, amazing. I really recommend you visit if you have not been. The Finnish Orthodox Church is really incredible, and I think was really kind of God's way of showing me also what it looks like to live in a country where the language of the people is Finnish. There is one church. It is not a jurisdictional mess, if I can use that word, like Sweden next door, and perhaps this country that we are also living in. And so what I loved about Finland is that one, I learned the liturgy in Finnish, because of course, what else was it going to be celebrated in? And two, in Helsinki where I lived, they have a multicultural parish. So it really caters to the immigrant communities that are in Finland because they know it's important to hear the liturgy in your own language. So what they would do is that every Sunday, the Finnish clergy had learned all these different languages as best they could. So we would celebrate in English, in Swedish, in Romanian, in Arabic, in, let me think of all the other ones. We also had Armenians there, so there was also an Armenian liturgy. But you get the point. Basically, every Sunday would be a different language, and this beautiful community where all these immigrants would gather and kind of share. We had this ethnic community. So we could all really share and appreciate our Orthodoxy while knowing that we are in Finland and also celebrate the Finnish culture. So I give you that background because I think it's important to show how God shows us different ways of what is possible. And I think this idea of how we can serve in Finland, what I experienced, is possible here in the United States, and goes to this question of what does it look like to work towards multi-jurisdictional unity. I think Father Stephen's Parish is a good example, right? It is possible. So today I want to talk to you about how is it possible and how can we all be part of it. All right, so you probably saw in your program, you've heard, I'll be talking to you about IPAs. Not the beer, but there are microbreweries that are Orthodox, so maybe one day we'll also have beer. But I'm going to tell you about inter-parish associations, so give you kind of the background, the basics, foundational elements, the value of it, where they are growing currently, and then how can you get involved. God bless you. God bless you. It's always great to have a bishop in the room, so if there are more questions after, you can give a bit more minutes. But I always like to start with the background of the Assembly of Bishops, very briefly. I'm sure most of you have heard a little bit, but it's always good to be on the same page. So in 1960, SCOBA, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, the Standing Conference of Orthodox Bishops of the Americas, kicked off the modern movement for Pan-Orthodoxy. And the Americas is quite a large area. Yes, indeed. There are many, many countries among the whole continent. So, in 2010, the Assembly of Bishops replaced SCOBA with the mandate to coordinate and develop ministries in common while working on a canonical regional plan. It's a pretty big task. And so, the Assembly of Bishops today is made up of all the active canonical Orthodox bishops in the United States of America of every jurisdiction, and it is the premier and only official body responsible for unifying the Orthodox Christian Church in the United States. It's a pretty big deal. So, where did this idea of inter-parish associations kind of come from? And also grateful to Alexis in the room, who was part of some of the initial conversations. So in 2018, the Assembly of Bishops Committee for Canonical and Regional Planning presented an idea for associations that would mirror the assembly on the local level. So as the hierarchs are trying to work towards this idea of unity, what does this look like? What can it look like on the local level? So the idea was tabled for a while, and in 2020 it was revived when there was staff hired as a director of operations. Some of you that might be familiar with this, a father named Anton was here last year, and he was the director of operations that also serves today. Obviously, there were other things that happened in 2020. So as soon as COVID calmed down a little bit, in 2021, there were 2 pilot cities that were chosen, Atlanta and Akron, and they were approached from the first inter-parish associations. I'm grateful Dr. John Gober is here from Akron, actually, who is also part of that, and you've heard me speak many times, so I appreciate you being here as well. But so Atlanta was chosen because they have a really strong clergy brotherhood, and Akron was chosen for a really strong lay organization called COCA. And so the idea was to see what would happen with these 2 different models of strength, whether clergy or laity, if they're given this idea of working more together. It wasn't called inter-parish associations just yet. So their bishops just sent them some letters and asked them to really experiment with this idea. And in 2023, the pilots came and presented to the full body of the Assembly of Bishops, and the hierarchs in turn decided to launch the program nationally. So we were hearing earlier, so the bishops themselves have created this ministry and have blessed it to be then implemented all across the country. And by the grace of God, in late 2023, we received a grant from the Lilly Endowment to actually support this project for the next 5 years. So as mentioned, I was here earlier because the Lilly Endowment flies us all in for 3 days to come in as a cohort and learn and grow. So Lilly has been an amazing partner in supporting Christian ministry, which for those that are based here, I'm sure you know that. So what is an inter-parish association? We're talking about it, but what is it? An inter-parish association promotes communication, camaraderie, and cooperation across Orthodox Christian parishes of all jurisdictions in a given geographical area. They are local, meaning city or town level. The parishes are the members, and their leadership includes both clergy and laity. Their purpose is to break down barriers across Orthodox Christian jurisdictions, and as a unified Orthodox Christian community, witness Christ's love in local society. So this is like the big overview one, so we're going to break it down a little bit. So simply, the vision is to live our faith, and it is to equip and empower parishes to do ministry together and to be a living expression of the Orthodox Church in their locale. And the mission, in a similar way, is to witness Christ's love as one body. So how can we, as a united, cross-jurisdictional body in a local area, use our multi-ethnic expression, common ministry, and relevance in the local community? So what are we going to be remembered for as Orthodox Christians in our local context? Right, that question of if our ethnic food festival is not there, or if we just disappear, will the community around us notice? So, what are the building blocks of an inter-parish association to get to this point? As mentioned, it has to be local. So an inter-parish association includes parishes in an agreed-upon mile radius that is best for the local area. So of course, so we're working with people in Denver or other areas, so it just depends. Where I live in New Jersey, we have 40 Orthodox churches in northern New Jersey. So for us, it's easy to drive 20 or 30 minutes and pass many churches. But that's very different in maybe Tennessee, we were talking about earlier, or Colorado, or wherever the case may be. So it has to be really local and very specific to your context and what works best. Where are people willing to drive to? Where are people willing to participate in? And of course, not sit in traffic, which is a big problem in some cities. So every locale, every inter-parish association is blessed by their respective hierarchs. And every parish is a member with clergy and lay representatives. So you might notice that the structure is a little bit different. The parish itself is the member and has to have clergy and lay representatives at all times. So it is not personality based. It is not that one person says, I want to be part of this. The parish makes the decision as a whole to participate, and then they are in charge of always having the clergy and lay representatives that are appointed to be part of inter-parish association leadership.
Who appoints them?
I'll get into that.
Okay.
So what is the goal of an inter-parish association locally? Very simply, it is to envision ministry together. So what is beneficial to our parishes and to the community our parishes reside in? So I like to think about this in two ways. One, the inter-parish association is this coordinating hub. It acts as a communication structure for parishes to talk to each other, to get to know each other better, and then also it provides the platform to understand what is possible in our community. So I like to think about it as internal ministry and external ministry. So internally is some of the things we called out earlier, right? Is it possible, or do we already have, or can we grow? Is it a camp or shared catechism, retreats, choir, end-of-life care, a cemetery, youth and adult programs, intergenerational programs, schools, etc. The idea is really to think about like what is possible and what do we need in our community. I like to use an example from the Twin Cities always. Perhaps some people know that the Clergy Association there has created a shared curriculum for catechism, and so all the catechumens rotate to different parishes, and the clergy then share this responsibility of catechism. All the catechumens are being trained with the same curriculum, but they also get to experience a different parish for every lesson because they're visiting all the different parishes in the area. So it's trying to think about what is beneficial to us. As we were talking about, many of our churches are receiving a lot of catechumens. So how can we support each other as parishes of different jurisdictions to think creatively about what can we do more of to support ministry and really thrive together? And kind of in the same vein, but thinking outside of the parish. So how is the IK in partnership with the community to serve outside of the church walls? So how are we really understanding our call to witness and love as Christ did, again, outside of our churches? So I just have here some listing of Orthodox organizations around the country. And of course, it's really important that you also partner with local organizations. But these are all based in different parts and do really incredible work of really serving our neighbor. So let's talk a little bit about the structure. Okay, so as part of the Lilly endowment process and funding, it allows us to really dive in with inter-parish associations to really walk with them in this journey. So I mentioned the pilots in the beginning, and some of the takeaways from the pilots was that this is a good idea, but just giving this idea is not enough. There needs to be support and a framework and resources to really then allow parishes to do this work, and when they need to troubleshoot something, there's somewhere to go. So we're grateful for the endowment that we are able to then, one, put in full-time staff support, and then provide consultants, and then I'll get into it, also micro grants to communities to really support ministry. So how we get here is this kind of process. So you're talking about this American identity, that's really important, right? And so to get there, what we're learning and experimenting with is this first question of who are we as a parish? What is our history? What is the role we've had in the community? Who are our founders? But then also, who are we today and into tomorrow and into the future? So we have very intentional kind of activities or things you can go to really think about, one, being grounded in our faith. What is our parish story? What is the history of the context that we're in? And again, where are we going next? And then taking that lesson and thinking about it in the context of our sister parishes. So who are our sister parishes? How do we see the similarities in their history as well, and where we're all kind of, where we've come from and where we're going towards? And then of course, building, also providing opportunities to build community, because that's how we get to know each other better. So if we're not already doing Pan-Orthodox Vespers, can we start doing that? Are there other opportunities to worship together, or come together, or do a shared cross dive, or whatever the case may be? So how can we be creative in getting to know each other as community, as other Orthodox Christians that are most likely living not that far away from us? So providing these opportunities for fellowship and knowledge of each other. And then when you have that kind of foundation, we can start to have conversations about what is our shared vision and purpose in our local area as Orthodox Christians. And this is where we have a very specific strategic planning, kind of strategic envisioning process, where we bring communities through to say, okay, we're hearing youth and adult ministry over here, we're hearing end-of-life care here, we're hearing a choir here, or a church school. What are the key areas that all of our parishes want to work on together? So it's trying to come to that shared understanding and shared buy-in by doing a lot of listening sessions and a lot of personal conversation to say what is important to me in my parish and what do I want, what do we think is really important to do together. Of course, God willing, we're a little bit stronger together, then it's easier to say, now that we've looked internally, how do we look outside, like I mentioned. So working with partners in the church that already do this work, but also local partners to say, is there a need that the Orthodox churches can support, can expand, or even start if necessary? And what does that look like? It doesn't always need to be maybe tactile, we need a feeding ministry, maybe it's a mental health, mental illness ministry, or some just opening up our halls during the week as like a coffee and co-working space. The idea is to be really creative and think about what is possible and what might be needed. So just a note also on the structure. As I mentioned, the parishes are the members, and so you can see this in kind of the tree diagram here. So of course we're grounded by Christ and rooted in Christ. The Assembly of Bishops provides the blessing and kind of the framework and staff to support this. And the Inter-Parish Association acts as this coordinating hub or connector on the local level. So as you can see, each parish is its own branch. So the parishes remain unique and distinct. It does not mean that the parishes are one is going to be combined into the other, you're going to lose people. The idea is that all the members and all the parishes are still distinct and unique, and by bringing that uniqueness to the table, we can be stronger together. So in this kind of idea is that the tree itself, when it's united and working together, of course, can grow stronger. Okay, so mentioned pre-asked earlier about how are people appointed. So to actually create this structure, you need people to be part of it, right, that are leading it in some way. So we've created what is called a synergy group. So every inter-parish association, once the parishes have decided to become members, and they have appointed clergy and lay representatives, which we'll get into in a second, these representatives become the synergy group. So kind of the leadership team that helps coordinate the first couple of steps of the inter-parish association. And it's really simply one, just getting to know each other first, figuring out the best way of communicating, what parish events are already happening, if that hasn't been happened or a structure for that beforehand, and then thinking about, okay, how are we going to involve our communities in the process of the inter-parish association? So to answer the question of who do we appoint and who does it, so it's really the process that I'll mention a little bit later is that after learning about the inter-parish associations, the clergy and laity that have learned go back to the parish council or the equivalent of that in your community, have a conversation and try to share with the community, and then decide as a parish council, as a priest, as the lay people, who will be those representatives. And this is more of an interim position. It does not mean you're going to be in here for many years. The idea is that we want to think sustainably. So we want to identify talent, so people who are interested in Pan-Orthodox ministry, maybe a parish council member, a young adult, a new member looking to engage more, that are just dedicated to the vision and the purpose to get started. And then later can identify people who are also have the same heart or are interested in getting involved to include from their parishes. So we're really trying to just create the structure for coordination and then for invitation of people's talents later on. So an example I can give too is that in Denver, all of the clergy, the parishes that are participating, have chosen young adults. And they find that really exciting and have found it as a really great way to engage more parishes. And the young adults have been really exceptional in responding and leading the charge. In some other areas, it's very multi-generational, and that's really beautiful because, of course, we can all learn from each other. So it's really up to the local context and the parish of who they think might be best to represent in the beginning. Okay, so that was a lot of information. There's a lot. But I want to just offer kind of what is the value of this ministry to you and your communities. We like to use many words in the church, right? So we've come up with this terminology of one value or benefit is this multi-jurisdictional episcopal interfacing. Basically, an opportunity to then, for us, if you are participating in inter-parish association and you want to speak more directly with your hierarchs, it is a great way to interface between us, the staff, then speaking with the hierarchs. Or really bringing these concerns from the local level to the national level. So it's really trying to create this venue and conduit to do that. Some of the conversation earlier. It's trying to take the mystery out of communication with our hierarchs and really provide a venue for that. Also a note that when an inter-parish association begins, as I mentioned, it is blessed by the full assembly of bishops, but when there's an info session or when parishes start to participate, we as staff then go to your hierarch and ask them for a letter of blessing that is sent to your parish to let you know that your hierarch supports you and you have his blessing to participate. I'm grateful for his evidence for the many letters you have sent to many of your parishes already. So this is a really important piece because again, we're trying to make sure the connection between the local and the national is always there. So as you saw on the screen a little bit earlier, but because we are the Assembly of Bishops and we also have the agencies and affiliate ministries, along with parachurch organizations, our goal is that we can then we can create this kind of matchmaking of partnerships with parishes, with organizations that are doing amazing work in the church. So maybe you're familiar with some of these: Orthodox Christian Prison Ministry, IOCC, International Orthodox Christian Charities, OVC, so many O's, right? Orthodox Volunteer Corps, OCMC, OCF, OYM, etc. So the list goes on. The idea is that if you're looking for ideas for youth and adult ministry, we connect you with Orthodox Youth and Adult Ministries. If you need help with Orthodox Christian Fellowship College Ministry, you need maybe a campus missionary area, we connect you to OCF because they have the staff and the expertise to support. If you're interested in starting a Focus Center, we connect you with Focus to really start that process and conversation. If you're not ready for a Focus Center but want to better understand the needs in your local context, they have the parish days, which are amazing structured opportunities for parishes to learn more about what is happening in their community and the needs. So let's just say that we have these partnerships that we just want to make sure parishes are much more connected to, really specific to the need of the local context. And another beautiful thing is that there's this kind of accompaniment throughout the process. So I serve this project full time, and my role is to really be with you as an inter-parish association to really understand what you need and try to find a solution or a partner or whatever it might be for that need. And right now we're kind of exploring also kind of local facilitators to really support the work of the IPA. So I am one woman and I cannot do it all. So also in this kind of idea of being a little bit more united, it is also an opportunity to be connected to really build community. So part of the IPA, as I mentioned, an idea from the Twin Cities, also say in Worcester, Massachusetts, they actually have a pan-Orthodox nursing home, and they have a pan-Orthodox cemetery. So I'm sure you all have ideas of people and communities across the United States that are doing incredible pan-Orthodox work. So the idea of the Inter-Parish Association is providing a repository and a space for all those ideas to be shared and for communities to come and learn more. So right now we're building out a course that communities can go and learn about IPAs. It is free, and any resource you need will be in that space. So if you want a parish bulletin insert, you can go and download it from there. If you need talking points for your parish, you can go and download it from there. If you need a facilitation guide for your first IPA dinner, we have icebreaker activities for you. So it's really trying to make it easy that you can do this work with very little work. We do it for you. We want to support the community. And we also then are trying to create this national network that will also be on this platform where people can plug in once a month and share what is happening in Indianapolis, what is happening in Denver, what is happening in Manhattan, and then also be encouraged by examples across the country. We're also hoping to invite some of our hierarchs to come and join us for these. But the idea is a place where you can come and learn nationally and be encouraged, also share your challenges, and then say, this is working, this is not working, what can I learn more, where can we go next? You also see here the consultants. So as I mentioned very briefly, we have a consultant for the strategic planning process, and we have a research and evaluation consultant. So we're trying to really academically, with academic rigor, follow what is happening in the process, and then really take this kind of qualitative research that we're gathering through all of these listening sessions to understand what do you want, what do you need, what do you want your hierarchs to hear, and what can also benefit the program for the health of our parishes. And the amazing thing is that we have a possibility for seed funding. So once the IPA goes through the process I mentioned, the idea is that there is an opportunity for collaborative ministry. And so that each inter-parish association could apply for a micro grant to support their ministry. So the first year would be seed funding, followed by 2-year challenge grants. We're trying to obviously create more opportunities to build the funding even more, but right now it's in the about $15,000 range for the seed funding, followed by the matching grant. Sorry, the challenge grants right after. But we're trying to make sure that every community would have access to some kind of funding as needed, and all the consultants and resources that I mentioned earlier are paid for out of the grant, so it's free for communities to use, God willing, very long term. All right, so briefly, and then we're going to do a little activity. So what is the process to start an inter-parish association? In case you're curious, I'm also appreciative of the Indy clergy here who will, some of you will be there on Monday. We're doing an info session with the parishes in the area here. But so if you're interested in inter-parish association, the first step is to really understand who is the local area that we want to really work with. For example, working with Wilkes-Barre in Pennsylvania, so I was asking them, is it a 10, 15, 20, 25 mile radius? How many parishes were people willing to drive? So that's kind of the first step. How far are we going to go? Then we do first an info session with the clergy. So as the Assembly of Bishops, we invite every jurisdiction that is a member of the Assembly of Bishops to an info session, talk to the clergy, make sure they're on board. Then we do a parallel clergy and laity session. And if there's interest to move forward, then we have the clergy and laity meet with their parish council, like I mentioned, to discuss the idea. We have many resources for you to take to your parish council to use. And then we have a letter of membership. So to become part of the Inter-Parish Association, there's a letter, there's a template. You just have your parish council put it on parish letterhead. You can write your own if you want, and then the priest and the parish council president sign it once the parish is all on board. So then that is submitted to me, and then once I have that letter, we reach out to your hierarch and ask for that letter of blessing. So at the same time, once the letter of participation is sent, you appoint also the synergy group representatives, and then we kind of get the ball rolling. You see the word templates because there's also a letter explaining the synergy group, how to choose them, who should be chosen from the parish, kind of why, and you can give to your parish council to understand more. And then once that group is built, we do a little bit of a kickoff online, and then we kind of begin the process of understanding the mission, the vision, and then what's next for each local context. All right, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Might be curious, where are inter-parish associations growing right now? so I'm going to try to be quick because I know we're going here. So you can see, so Akron was obviously one of the pilots, Atlanta, Denver, Indianapolis has a little star because we're meeting on Monday, but we've had a couple parishes submit letters already, which I am thankful for. Some of you are in the room, so thank you. Manhattan, New York City, and Northern New Jersey, and Youngstown, Ohio. So Youngstown is also very much, they submitted, most of the parishes submitted letters. We're just about to take the next step. So I'm missing just a couple more letters. That's why they have the star. And then you can see where the other ones are emerging in Austin, East Bay, California, Long Island, Twin Cities, Wilkes-Barre, and Worcester. There are a few others. I've spoken with over 40 communities over the past 2 years. And I just learned it's all in God's time. So some communities are ready to move forward, some need a little bit more time, some need a little more understanding. Some would like to know how it's working in other communities before they join. So I'll also say, if you're interested and you're like, I don't see my city, I might have spoken with them, but it just depends. Or I might have not, so we can have that conversation after. Okay, just to show real quick, this is in Northern New Jersey. Top photo is we had an info session with clergy and laity. You can see His Eminence Archbishop Michael also joined us for that session. We had about 33 people come, which was really awesome, and really good energy in the room. This was a Sunday Orthodoxy Vespers that took place a couple months later, and then our little Zoom meeting here is our Synergy group. So New Jersey has met a couple of times now. They just did their focus groups, part of our research and evaluation process, so these listening sessions over the summer. And we're getting ready for their Synergy group dinner coming up next week, I believe. So getting an opportunity to get to know each other better from the parishes. This is just to show you the participating parishes right now in New Jersey. So those that have submitted letters and are sending clergy and lay representatives. Manhattan is really fascinating. I was told because it's too ethnic, it's not going to work. I would like to inform you that God works wonders, if you don't know this. But so the top picture here is myself with all the clergy. This was the first time many of those priests had ever met, and they will all serve parishes a couple blocks from each other in the borough of Manhattan. So that was very encouraging and invited each other to each other's parishes to co-celebrate their feast days. So then down here you can see a picture of our Synergy group. What I love about this group, it's so diverse. We have GOA, we have the Georgians, we have, there's no Antiochian parishes in Manhattan, unfortunately. A bunch of OCA parishes as well. We don't have the Ukrainians just yet, or the Serbians, but they're involved, they know what's happening. So this group came together, and very similar to the clergy, that dinner that we had was an opportunity where people got to know each other better. They found out, two ladies found out they lived in the same neighborhood growing up. Couple blocks from each other, had never met before. The one priest and the young woman live on the same street in Washington Heights, had no idea. So there were just like really beautiful opportunities to get to know each other, and it has really formed a bond in the group. In Manhattan, this past summer actually they hosted the Crossroads Summer Institute, which had their first session ever in New York City. And we did a parish kind of pilgrimage, because in the East Village there are 3 parishes in a triangle. So the Georgian parish, the OCA Cathedral, and the Carpatho-Russian Cathedral. So we walked all together to all 3 parishes. They shared their different kind of musical traditions, the history of the church, and then we had a meal all together. And it was also a really beautiful one for the students, but 2 for the parishioners, because I had never been to the Georgian church either, and I went to school and worked in Manhattan. So it was an opportunity for us to say, oh, wow, wait, this is amazing, and get to know each other even more. So Manhattan, we just did our focus groups this September, and another beautiful thing in Manhattan is that they're actually planning now for a Sunday Orthodoxy Vespers, which has not happened in decades in Manhattan. So that is really huge. So I think this is a really beautiful story of what is possible when you get to know each other. And these are the parishes that are participating right now. If you want to see it later, you can come back and talk to me. This is a little video, I'm going to skip it for now, but if you're interested, I can show you. Just shows when Manhattan met, it was during the Paschal season, so all of us singing in the different traditions, and then also the bingo board that we did, and the icebreaker, so it was just a very fun activity. I know we're going to go into Q&A soon, but I actually would invite us to do a mini activity. So I just want to make sure everyone's at a table with people to talk to. And you're going to need to pull out your phones. So everybody pull out your phone. I'm going to transition the screen. fine. You can borrow a friend's phone. All right. Oops, that's the wrong question. Sorry. Okay, with all of that in mind, I'm going to ask you to first do a little bit of personal reflection. So in your own context, how might an IPA support ministry to start, expand, or grow? So just think about it in your own parish communities first. And while you do that, after you do that, I want you to have a conversation with your table about it. So we'll take about like 5 to 8 minutes for this. And then, so we can all share kind of in this group sharing place, you will see on the screen here, join@menti.com. I'm going to try to pull up the QR code. But if you go to menti.com, so let's all do that now so we're ready. And if you don't have, you can have like a group phone too for the table. But we're going to go to menti.com. And I'll read out the number. So it's going to ask you for a code. So you're going to type in 54192298. I'll repeat that. 54192298. You should see a little like box where you can type in and it will. Okay, great. Do people need the code, or most people in the system? Awesome. Now you can ask a friend at the table to enter the response for you. So I want you to take now a little bit of time to just think about it. I'll give about 2 minutes to think about it, then I'm going to call you to share them on your table. And then after that table conversation, I want you to write in some of the responses that you shared or you heard at your table. So I invite you to just think for a minute or so. So let's take a minute to think.
First one.
All right, let's wrap up our conversations. Let's draw our attention to the screen. I'm going to really quickly go through the responses just to make sure we hear some of these things. So we have the find small niche ministries that broadcast or virtual to include others, adult Christian education, publicized activities to all parishes, homeless outreach, joint catechism. Most anything could be done collaboratively among parishes, outreach, service ministry, youth events, catechism, parochial school, festival to introduce orthodoxy to others. That's really cool. Support and expand Orthodox men's fraternal organization. Forgiving me, try to go a little bit faster through them, so hopefully you can do the same time. Connections for single adults, space for local university OCF to meet, attend services. Ooh, that's not good. Forgive me. Oh no. Okay, 1 second. There we go. Oh no. Sorry, technology. Too sensitive. Agency to support larger ministries that feel insurmountable. Forgetting it's this one. Educational programs for adults and youth, as well as seniors, programs for seniors with other communities. Identify broader problems across the community. Calendar coordination. Just a note on that, the Assembly of Bishops mobile app, which you should all get, will be launching a new calendar feature very soon where you can plug in your location, and it will, as long as your parish is part of the calendar, it will crowdsource all of the events in the local area from all of the parishes. So that will, God willing, be going on the next couple of weeks before the Assembly of Bishops meeting. So it's the Assembly of Bishops app. I can pull it up later to show you. But the calendar coordination is something that we've heard for many years, and we are working really hard with a lot of great tech people to make it happen. So just a note on that one. And if your parish wants to be part of that, to add your calendar, please join us. That would be super helpful. So clergy associations, Pan-Orthodox Women's Association, summer vacation, school web, this one has a lot of great ideas. Vespers, food and grocery meal distribution, absolutely. Transportation, that's a great one. Resources, community service. Just a note on transportation, the Atlanta OCF chapter found that students don't have transportation to church, so they actually pay for Ubers for students to get there. So if parishes are able to say, hey, I'm passing this university and pick up the students, that's huge. So that's very helpful. Different parishes in connecting with similar interests, get-togethers, Orthodox school, summer camp, shut-in, senior shut-in ministry, OCF, pre-OCF events, film screenings, retreats. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Shared Orthodox services besides Sunday of Orthodoxy. Okay, yeah, and young adult initiatives. Great. I'm going to send this out to the organizers so everybody can have it after. I always like to do, thank you for the chair. do the fun little AI sorting so we can just see the big kind of topics. So we have a lot of parish collaboration, community outreach, youth programs, adult education, social connections, and event coordination. So a lot of really amazing ideas, right? So thank you for participating in that. I think it's just, again, the tip of the iceberg of what is possible, and this is what I want you to think about. I know we're running out of time here, so I want to just take 4 minutes. I have one more question that I want you all to kind of talk about. So we are here because of OCL, so thank you OCL for hosting us. And so my question is more, perhaps hopefully you have a member of OCL at your table, but I would love to do some brainstorming around what are possible venues for collaboration between OCL and IPAs. So here we are, obviously all here for Orthodox Christian laity participating, so trying to think about where are these partnerships as lay people in the church to support this ministry. Obviously in your local parish, but beyond that too, kind of going to the questions earlier. So we'll just take about 3 minutes. At your table, talk about it, you can do kind of a group response to enter it in, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, go, thank you. You can continue to add, but thank you for adding in. I just wanted to provide an opportunity to brainstorm since we are here for the OCL conference and think about what are the possibilities for partnership and actually working together even more. And also as mostly laity in this room, how do we really encourage this ministry to grow in our local communities? Of course, also using OCL as an avenue, as we mentioned now, as a way to do that. So just to share some of these briefly, OCL members become IPA representatives. Promotion highlight the work of IPAs on the website of OCL, newsletters, social media. OCL supporter database to email IPA information, encourage IPA participation. Learning and information about and across organizations. Laity organize events and annual weekend conventions. OCL work in partnership with IPAs to encourage support Inter-Parish ministries. Working with clergy associations to create programs that serve these various ministries, facilitate IPAs. And then embody OCL in the parishes, perhaps an IPA could have an OCL representative. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And just again, the venue of the Inter-Parish Association is not to take over or like efface existing ministries. Again, it's just a coordination place where, for example, OCL can come and then have 16 or 17 parishes to present to, or OCMC or OCL. The list goes on. So the idea is, again, how do we just create the platform for better communication to allow ministry in our parishes to thrive? So I'm going to wrap up. Just very briefly, if you are interested in starting an IPA or if there's one starting in your community, come talk to me. I have some postcards you can take back to your communities, and we can also keep in touch. If you're interested in getting more involved in other ways too, the first one is obviously prayer, so please pray for us in this ministry. And thirdly, as I mentioned, we are also thinking about, we're going into our 3rd year of a 5-year grant, so we are thinking about the sustainability of this ministry. So if there are ways to think about more creatively, how do we sustain this ministry, of course, financially, but through time and talent as well. I would love to hear your ideas. So thank you very much. Maybe, I know we didn't have time for Q&A, I don't want to respect Alexi's time, but maybe I can take questions in the section after looking for the organizers here. But either way, thank you very much. I hope you learned something new, and I'm excited for the questions later. Thank you.